Hey everyone, today we're going to be making a classic chicken noodle soup. This is great for a Sunday dinner. It's going to have your house smelling awesome. So here's our mise en place. It's kind of a very simple recipe. Not many ingredients, but we're going to show you how to extract all the flavor that we can here. So first we start off with a 4 or 5 pound whole chicken. Okay. Here we've got onions, celery, carrots, your classic mirepoix. We've got a head of garlic here. We've got some parsley and parsley stems. In here we've got some bay leaves and black peppercorns. Okay. First we're going to start off by seasoning our bird. Okay, so I've got here kosher salt. We're going to season the outside. We're going to try and get actually every crevice in here. And you can do this step ahead of time. You can do it, up to an hour or even overnight if you have the time. So we're going to season right inside the cavity. We're going to get every nook and cranny, okay? Flip it upside down. Then we're going to go ahead and put this chicken into a pot, a stock pot, and you need one large enough to hold your whole bird, okay? And right in. Do a quick hand wash. We're going to go ahead and start getting going with our vegetables here. First, we're going to take some onions, and you can peel these. Some people always like to peel the skin off, but when you're making a broth like we are now, you can go ahead and leave those skins right in. It gives a nice color to the finished product, and we're going to be straining it out anyway. So in with the onions. It's going to be a rough chop. Still like to nip the ends off. Okay, we're going to now take some celery stalks. We're going to leave a few behind for finishing the soup. And we're just going to give these a rough chop. I trim these ahead of time and wash them. Throw those in. Then we're going to go with some carrots. Again, leaving a few to finish the soup with. These ones are going to cook the flavor into the broth, and then we're going to strain them. Okay, I like to nip the ends. And a nice rough chop. And right in they'll go. Okay. Okay, next we're going to add about 4 bay leaves. And then we've got some nice whole black peppercorns. We're going to add those in. And we're also going to go ahead and add some parsley stems. So this is what we have here. We have our mirepoix and our aromatics, our garlic, parsley stems, bay leaves, peppercorns, and our whole chicken. And we're going to go ahead and put this on a high flame. until it comes to just above a simmer, and then we're going to turn it down and let this simmer. This is going to make the broth, and it's also going to cook the chicken, which we will remove and shred and add back in after we strain out the vegetables. We're going to go ahead and cook our noodles. I always cook the noodles separate and keep them separate from the soup, because if you have any leftovers, if you have noodles in there, those noodles, the starch in them is just going to suck up all of your broth. So I always keep it separate. So I have here some boiling water in a separate pot. I'm going to add salt. That's going to raise the boiling point. We want to make this salty like the ocean, so we can get some salt flavor in the noodles. Okay. I have here some, I guess it's a ditalini. It's a little shortcut ditalini noodles. Any small noodle will work. Small shells, mini penne. The kids even love it when I use the alphabet noodles. As soon as I add the noodles to the water, I'm going to go ahead and stir. All right, we're going to cook this for about 5 to 6 minutes, stirring occasionally so the noodles don't stick to the bottom. If you have a heftier noodle like a mini penne or something like that, you might want to cook for 8 minutes. And then we'll strain. We're going to go ahead and check our bird now. We've been at a gentle simmer for a little more than an hour. The chicken's going to want to float up, so what I like to do is just flip it over upside down every once in a while. Be careful, you don't want it falling apart on you. And we're going to take the temperature of the breast meat. We want the breast meat to be 160, 165 degrees, the deepest part, and we're reading at about 98 right now. So we're going to keep cooking this at the gentle simmer and give it a look. When it's done, we'll take the breasts out and put the legs and the carcass back in to continue to cook and extract flavor. So what we're going to do here is we're going to remove the skin from the breasts, okay, and the legs. We're just going to start to pull that meat to bite-sized chunks. You can use 2 forks. And then we'll reserve and set that aside when we finish the soup. Now we're going to take our finishing vegetables, our celery, and some carrots. And we're going to leave the onions out of the mirepoix mix at this point for the final soup. These are going to be the vegetables that are in the soup when we serve it and for the final simmer. Kind of leaving them a little bit bigger, a little chunky, a little hearty. Kind of a little biased thin cuts there. Just want to make sure that they still fit on the spoon. Guy's a little bigger, so go in half there. Now we're going to go ahead and cut some fresh parsley to garnish the finished soup. could use dill. Some people may put thyme. I like a fresh parsley. Get a brand new pot out here, and we're going to get our finishing soup vegetables a little bit of a head start before we strain in our stock. Let's have a little olive oil that heat up. We don't want to add too much since we're working hard to strain the extra fat out of the soup. Just enough to soften these vegetables. We're going to be sweating these vegetables, letting them mingle. Their flavors mingle together for a few minutes. Once we mix this in, we don't want to hear too much of a sizzle when we're sweating. We just want them to cook very, very gentle. Season with a tiny pinch of salt. Lower that temperature and let them go for a few minutes. So we can see that these vegetables are sweated nice, just a little bit less firm. And they've got a nice head start to be able to finish cooking in the broth. So what we're going to do at this point is we are going to get a fine mesh strainer, and we're going to take our broth that we made and just strain into the new pot, and we'll discard. We're going to go ahead and discard the spent vegetables and the chicken bones. We are bringing it back to a simmer. At this point, we are going to season with a little bit more salt. All the salt we really had in there was when we seasoned the chicken before we cooked it. Season with a little bit of black pepper, just a little bit. Go ahead and add our chicken that we pulled and shredded. And we're going to add our fresh parsley. Give it a mix and simmer it for maybe 15-20 more minutes until those vegetables are nice and soft and tender. Okay, finally, the vegetables are nice and tender. Soup smells great. The whole house smells great. Kept the house warm all day. And to serve, go ahead and just add some of the noodles to the bowl. And try to scoop up equal parts of meat and the vegetables. And you're always going to get more chunks in the first ladle, so go ahead and add just some broth to the top. And there you have a beautiful homemade classic chicken noodle soup.